Hello, my fellow movie fans, and welcome to another show of Feast of Films Theatre. Today starring Matthew Black and Ethan R. Hill. There, that's the intro.
Oh, yeah. Classic. Classic.
Hello, my fellow movie fans, and welcome to another episode of A Feast of Films. I'm Ethan R. Hill, and with me, as always, is...
Matt Black, what's going on, my fellow movie fans?
Here we are again, another episode, not another episode 8, but this is episode 8. This is, we've made it to 8 episodes, and,
Woohoo!
Today's gonna be a bit more, I guess, laid back, kind of. There's been a...
Aren't we always laid back, though?
Not for the first few episodes,
the one time you were eating popcorn, bro, we're always pretty laid back.
Yeah, I regret that decision, and from now on, no more food during recordings. I've learned that the hard way, because, like, I just feel like everyone didn't need to hear me chewing as much as I was. So, only drinks, only liquid.
I got, right now with me, Okanagan apple cider.
Oh, that stuff's good.
It's not bad.
It's really sweet.
It's a little sweet. It's really sweet.
Yeah.
But it's not bad.
I have, I had coffee, and that's gone now, and I just have some water. And that's good enough, just to keep the whistle wet.
My coffee, too.
Got to keep the whistle wet. So today we're going to be discussing our favorites. It's just been, I don't know about you, Matt, but last week or so, I feel like there's just been a lot of negativity around. Just, like, my personal life, outside, anything like that. And you know what? I just need to talk about some good things. I feel like I need to talk about stuff I'm not going to complain about. I don't want
really make you happy.
I don't want to complain this episode. I just want to talk about good things. And that's kind of what the focus is for me, at least, and I think for you, and that's what we're going to get into today. But first,
all right.
Unless Matt wants to completely derail that with our question of the day.
What thing do you hate the most out of everything ever? No, I actually kind of followed your favorites idea, and I went along the same lines as that. Question of the day. You guys can always let us know what you guys think is a good question of the day. Leave it down in the comments section below, and we'll check it out and try and integrate it into our episodes. But other than that, yes, question of the day today. So I've been... I guess I'll talk about when I talk about my answer, but I've been consuming some content that I don't always consume that often. That's kind of zombie content. So okay. I'm wondering, Ethan Hill, what is your favorite piece of zombie media? Doesn't have to necessarily be movies, because mine isn't a movie, so I'm kind of cheating already. I'm like twisting it so I know what my answer is. But what's your favorite piece of zombie media?
Well, this is where I really upset you and tell you that it's Pride and Prejudice and zombies and just make you really, really angry.
Oh my god, man. If you say Pride and Prejudice and zombies, I'll come over there and I'll beat you with a bat.
Okay, so I got
Actually, no, I won't. That sounded like a very threatening threat. Incredibly threatening.
Well,
he lives very far away. I'm way too lazy to walk over.
What kind of bat are you going to beat me
or
with?
drive.
Are we talking like vampire bat, fruit bat? Like, what are we talking about here?
Bat with nails. That seems to be most
like painted nails.
Effective.
It's a bat with a really good manicure. Like that's what we're talking about.
You got me, man. You got me. You got me. How'd you figure that out, man? It's supposed to be threatening. Now it's just gonna be a soft blow or crunchy.
Hey, man, no, I bet you that bat's gonna have a lot of attitude and is gonna kick my butt.
It has attitude, all right. You think you're better than me?
Man, we've taken this is just derailed. Anyway, to go back to my favorite
10 minutes in? Yeah, this is derailed. Not even 10.
Cuz so the thing is I have so many different answers because it's varied. And speaking of bats, talking about baseball bats, like in all honesty, The Walking Dead, not the show but the comic was really, really well done. The show was well done too. I'm not going to talk bad about the show at all, but the comic is something that I got into and I really enjoyed, but I wouldn't say it's my favorite. I have a real big appreciation for the George Romero movies, and even not his movies too, the Return to Living Dead series and the Night of Living Dead, kind of stuff. I love that. I guess the question was my favorite, wasn't it?
It is.
Ugh.
That's the question.
No, that's so hard,
That's the
man.
theme of the
That's
day.
not fair.
That's the thing.
Because, like...
Well, man, how do you think I feel?
like-
You're like, how's this favorite, all this stuff? And I was like, well, how am I supposed to pick? How am I supposed to pick, Ethan?
So, okay.
Right back at you now.
So,
What's up?
audiobook-wise, the audiobook for World War Z is one of the best audiobooks I've listened to, and one of the best, like, just one of the best experiences with books that I've ever had. Because it's so well executed. They have an amazing voice cast that just, like, reads like a radio play. And it's just such an interesting concept of, like, interviewing all these different people who are dealing with the zombie apocalypse in their own way and their own stories. And it's so good.
Yeah.
If you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. Even if you don't want to read the book, World War Z. Like, the movie doesn't hold a candle to it. The movie was not great. It was not a good adaptation. The book and the audiobook are phenomenal. Cannot recommend it enough.
Interesting.
So that would probably be, like, honestly, yeah, if I had to say my favorite thing, that would be it. Because it's such a fresh take. And it presents it like it's a real world event. And it's just delightful. But otherwise, like I don't know, the zombie movies, the old classic ones, just also have a special place in my heart because they're just so uniquely them, and anything, like, especially those first ones that came out from Night of the Living Dead, Return of the Living Dead, and Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, all that kind of stuff. Anything that's come out after that has just been kind of aping off of those.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I don't know, like, I can't really think of any other ones other than those that I, like, would consider my favorite, that I'm just like, oh man, when it comes to zombie stuff, boom, love that kind of stuff. It's just those... Sorry, I gave you, like, 10 different answers there, but, like... But definitely...
Pick one. Pick your top of your top.
World War Z
the
audiobook.
best of their best.
World War Z audiobook, specifically the execution of it. Like, straight up the execution. Because, like, the writing's on point, but then just... Like, I'd go over the cast list, but there's just so, like... It's so extensive, man. Mark Hamill's in it. They got Mark Hamill to read a part of it. And, like...
Oh, really?
Yeah, Nathan Fillion.
He's a great voice actor, too. That guy's money.
Well, he's, like, the thing is, he's not even...
When I found out Luke Skywalker and the Joker were the same guy, it blew my mind. It blew my mind, to say the very least. I was like, I can't even picture that voice coming out of him until you see it. Then you're like, damn.
This is unsettling.
That's crazy.
I don't like this, but I love it.
It is a little unsettling.
I love it, but I hate it.
I wish he would have used that voice when he was fighting the Emperor. That would have been great.
I think the Emperor would have ran away then, man. I think I feel like
he would have been scared.
You know what I really wanted to... I really would love to see as just, like, a random short is you have Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy, just live action short, but they're basically playing old man Bruce Wayne and old man Joker in an old folks home together, and, like, basically it's like,
oh man,
the Joker's, like, trying to, like, torment Batman, and it's basically like it's a Batman adventure, but it's in an old folks home
with, like, wheelchairs
and everything.
That'd be great. That would be great. Scooter races, man.
Exactly. It's just like I think that would just be really...
I put a bomb on the scooter.
And I think that would just be fun.
You won't get away with that.
I think it would be a good time, and if you guys want to film it, Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy, give me a call. I doubt they're listening to this, but hey, give me a call. We'll make this happen.
It is beyond a doubt, man. They are not listening to this. Ever.
Aren't you going to feel sheepish when they call me and tell me how great my idea is?
Well, then I'll be impressed, and I want 50% of the proceeds.
What? I pitched this to you. That's not how it works. So yeah, what's your...
What was your favorite
though,
one?
man?
You gotta pick one. I
did.
Oh, did you pick one already?
I said World War Z audiobook, man. World War Z. If I did have to pick one...
I was distracted thinking about the...
Like...
I was thinking about the joke.
Like, as much as I love those classics, and I genuinely do, that audiobook just, like, it affected me in ways I can't express. Like, it just, like, it stuck with you. It was, like, both fascinating and horrific. Like, you believed that it actually happened. You believe it's a part of our history. It's not something that I could just shrug off and be like, yeah, you know, it's just a fiction. Like, it was so good. Also, I guess I should mention the author, Max Brooks, son of Mel Brooks, that when I started reading it, I didn't really realize that. I'm like, oh, yeah, it's this Max Brooks guy. And then I looked into him more. I'm like, holy crap, he's also like the son of one of my favorite directors. Like, that's amazing. So like,
That's pretty cool.
no, and he's good.
I did not know that.
He's a good writer too. He honestly came up. He made a career on his own too. He didn't rely on his dad's fame.
Daddy.
Yep. Like, and that's
Then rely on daddy.
like, and just, as I said, man, like the book itself, because my roommate has the book and he loved the book. It's good. The audiobook just takes it and elevates it more. Like, again, every single chapter, every single different character is a different voice actor. Like, it's a different actor reading this, and it spans the globe. So it's not just about like, oh, America and how they handled it. It's literally goes into like, how did this worldwide event affect everybody? And it's just, even if you're not a fan of zombies, I'd recommend it. Like, that is how good it is, because it's people talking, like, essentially it's Band of Brothers but with zombies. Like, that's what it is. Like, have you watched Band of Brothers at all, or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like, basically imagine that. But that's what the movie should have been. That's what the movie should have been, is a Band of Brothers setup kind of thing where you start interviewing these real life people, and then you just cut to a reenactment of what they did.
Of what's going on.
They like should have done that, and I hope that's what they eventually do, but like, man, like, no, it's so good. Like, I can't recommend it. You remember how I couldn't recommend Creativity Inc. enough? It's the same thing for this. It's the same thing for World War Z. And actually, World War Z was the first audiobook I ever listened to. So you can imagine my disappointment when I found out that audiobooks aren't like that, where it's a bunch of different people. It's just usually the same person putting on different voices. If we're lucky.
Yeah, and usually audiobooks aren't performances. Some are like performances of the book. Others are just people reading the book, right? More or less.
But at the end of the day, man, like, it just, no, that has to be it. And honestly, I was trying to think of which movie I was gonna pick out, and no, it's not even a movie. It's a book.
It's a book. Slick, man, slick.
So what's yours?
All right, so for me, I was never really a big fan of zombies that much for quite a while, especially like growing up. They didn't seem scary to me. I didn't find the fear factor in that idea. I was way more afraid of movies that had like demons and ghosts and that shit. That shit scares the hell out of me, man. That scares me. That makes it hard to go to bed at night and turn off all the lights. You're like, oh my God, something's behind me. You know that feeling when you like turn off the lights and you feel like there's something right behind you, so you have to like run to the room? You're like, run!
Yeah, you know, you have to run and jump to get to your bed.
I gotta get out of here, man. So, those movies scare me way more than zombies. I was never really afraid of zombies. There was one zombie movie that I quite enjoyed, and that was like Zombieland. I thought that was very fun. It was a fun way to tackle the zombie movie. But I was never afraid of them. Until a piece of media changed my mind. And that was the PlayStation game, The Last of Us. That game made me fear zombies and the reality of zombies. It had a very interesting take on it, too. It's actually a super well made
fungus-based, aren't they?
It's very... What's that?
Aren't they
fungus-based?
they're
fungus. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's a very well-made game in general. Like, it plays out like an interactive movie. It's super well. The characters are great. At the center, you got Joel and Ellie, this father and daughter type figure, not actual literal father and daughter, but it's just it's a hugely impactful, incredible relationship, and that's where the story really shines, is that relationship. But the zombies in this thing, the zombies are so freaky. So like you said, they're fungus based. They're like cordyceps, which is this fungus that like takes over a host, more or less. Like, so it's this fungus that I watched one documentary about it, and they grow and they like release these spores, and the ants like breathe in the spores, and then it like attaches to their brain and makes them go do other stuff, like literally takes control of them. And then they go find somewhere to die, and then the fungus sprouts out like the back of their head and like grows, and then from there it shoots down more spores raining down on like the ant colony and stuff. It's crazy. Like, so this is based on like real life fungus, but now they've taken it so that it affects humans. So this fungus takes control of people, generally turns them into the zombies we know within like a few hours, right? Like the running, the rah, the ravage stuff, the biting, that's all still there. But it's this fungus infection. The longer they're infected by this fungus, the more it like pops out of their face. So there's one that's got like a chunk coming out of its eye and like up its head. There's one where the face is completely hidden through fungus, and they use echolocation because they can't see anymore. So it uses echolocation to find you. Those are clickers. They're really creepy. Then you got bloaters who are like literally covered in the fungus. But the tension that this game literally builds into its gameplay and story is incredible. Even if there's not a zombie around, you're like... There's this one environment. It's a subway station. And it's got all like the spores and stuff floating around. So you got a gas mask. And you got like your flashlight and you're walking around in the dark. And nothing actually happens in that area. But you always feel like it does. It's just like when you turn off the lights and you feel like something's going to get you. So at any moment you're just so like there's such a huge amount of tension there. It's incredible.
So it plays your tension really well.
Yeah, it plays the tension incredibly well. There were some moments where I literally was there, the zombies were around, and I couldn't even move. I was honestly like afraid. I was like, I don't want to move. And that concerns me for a real life situation, because I'm like, would I just sit here and be like, I guess I'll sit here till I die? Because I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I'm just too scared to move. But no, it was incredible. Like, the use of tension, the gameplay was great. The zombies are super creative. And they still had the whole bite thing, just like a normal zombie, right? It was just a different type of infection. And then the relationship at the center with Joel and Ellie, fantastic. I just finished the ending of my third playthrough yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready for the second one to come out on Friday. And, it was ending. I just love the ending, too.
See, I started playing it years ago, and I never finished it. And I just don't know why.
It's so worth finishing, man. Like, it's so worth playing through. Just for the narrative and the character development and the relationship, again, at the center is so awesome. But the zombies are great. The tension is great. There's so many parts where I'm so scared. I can only play it at certain times of the day. Like, if I play it too late at night, I get scared. And the more you play through it, too, like, you keep carrying your stuff with you. Like, every time you restart the game, you have all your upgrades or whatever. So it gets easier the more times you play through it. But at first, when you're so limited on ways to actually fight off or kill the zombies, it's incredibly scary because it's like, okay, one wrong move and I'm dead.
Oh yeah,
and I'm dead, right? Like that's it.
That's possible. It lent me to the not finishing it thing, as I got frustrated and sidetracked and just. I think I actually moved from that to the Uncharted series, which is a lot less...
which is also great.
It's amazing. Equally great. Dude, it's favorite video game. Like, straight up. Like, I love the Uncharted series. I played them through a few different times. It's just playing... It's like playing Indiana Jones.
Made by the same guys, right? Naughty Dog.
It totally is.
Naughty Dog. It's made by the same guys,
And that's
why they're both equally amazing.
That's where I feel like I need to give Last of Us a chance, though, right? Like, because I feel like... Especially now that... When I started playing it, I wasn't that good of a gamer. And, like, I'm not... great now, but I'm better than I was when I started. I feel like I might actually stand a chance at progressing and not just getting frustrated by it.
I think you will too, because at the end of the day with that game, like, a lot of the focus is so focused on like the narrative of it all.
Yeah.
And how it really is like it is a movie. It is an interactive movie, and it's crazy that way. But I think, like, the gameplay elements aren't difficult in that game. Like, there's not a lot of complicated things going on, or it's not about, like, all these reflexes and stuff. It's just thinking about things, planning them out, and kind of executing to the best of your ability, right? And then when things go sideways, as they inevitably almost always do, being able to just shoot zombies, which is always fun, but also so scary. So scary. But no, that's my favorite piece of zombie media. Hands down. It made me afraid of zombies now. And I'm like, man, if there were zombies outside, I would just be like losing my mind. I go grab my bat and I have to just beat people with it. Like, the idea now has actually scared me. And it never really scared me before. I had two friends who were like, zombies are the worst. And I was like, they're nothing. And now I'm like, no, zombies are something.
I think
that is a pretty freaky concept.
zombies in a fictional concept aren't that scary because a lot of times it's like, just, get them in the head, that's fine. But as soon as it's like zombies in a real world concept, it's like, oh no, this would, like, I'd be dead. I would not survive this.
Yeah, that would be horrifying.
Um,
Well, and two, it's people you know, right? They look like people. Like, they are people, generally. They're just freaking gonna eat you. Like, that's scary, man.
would Doom
Scary
count?
stuff.
Would Doom count as a zombie media? Because, like
I don't think so.
there are zombies in it, but it's
don't
more
like-
so demons, right?
Yeah, they're more demonic. I don't consider Doom zombie content.
My buddy views that Doom should be more well accepted by the church because it's teaching strong Christian morals about killing demons. And like
He's not wrong.
I know, right?
He's
Like,
not wrong. We all need to practice one day to kill a whole bunch of demons. I guess, maybe not.
Yeah, I guess so.
He's
Yes,
not
it's-
wrong, though. He's not wrong. It makes sense. You're not
Exactly.
actually joining the demons. You're killing them. That's only a
Exactly.
good thing. I get what he's saying.
Look, it's hyper violence, but it's hyper violence against demons, and isn't that really what it's all about?
Isn't Isn't that what it's all about at the end of the day?
Exactly. It's
Hilarious.
essentially it's the hokey pokey.
Hilarious. Anyway, that's the question of the day. What's your guys' favorite zombie media content? Because I could think a couple scary ones, but Last of Us is definitely my favorite, and yours is the book.
Yes.
World War Z.
World War
Or
Z.
Z.
No, it's Z because it's American.
Yeah, like Dragon Ball Z. No
Yeah,
one's ever
exactly.
like, man, I love that Dragon Ball Z. Like, no one calls it. It's Dragon Ball Z.
Dragon Ball.
Dragon Ball Z.
Also, if you guys really want to trigger Matt in the comments, please put Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies.
God, if you put it, I'm blocking you instantly.
All right, please don't put it.
I don't think you
because-
can block people in the comments.
Please don't put it because the last thing we need is to block anybody who is willing to listen to us. We need you guys just as much as you.
I'm like, you like Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies? You're out of here, man. You're out of here.
Look, man,
Anyway.
people can have their say. People can have their taste.
Not when it's Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. If you like that movie, you are you are a zombie. You have to be a zombie. And I don't
mean,
trust you.
Really, it's all just about consumerism,
That
man.
seems intense. It's really all about Pride and Prejudice, but then there were zombies there, and they were terrible. It was the worst.
Are you okay, man? Have you been hurt?
No, I've been hurt by many things. There's this cat that won't leave me alone in my backyard. It's driving me nuts.
And then this book about zombies. It hurt you so much. Well, I guess the movie hurt you. You didn't know the book, but
Yeah, the movie wasn't that good. It was okay, but
well,
again, like those things too. Like again, like you said, fictional content is one thing. You put in the real world, sure, that situation would be absolutely terrifying. But some of it's so fictional that it's like, there's no way I'm buying that. But I think that's where your book, for one, probably stands out because it's very realistic, like you said. It feels like a part of history, and that's where The Last of Us stands out because it is so realistic and grounded in realism. And you could see that being a thing that happens. And it's not a virus. It's not something made in a lab. It's just Mother Nature decided to now be a dick to us. Which seems fair. It seems like that could be something that would happen.
right?
So those are the differences, I think, when it comes to actually being afraid of the stuff or being scary and drawing you into that world, is the realism behind it.
So, Matt, you already talked about your favorites?
I hate you.
Why?
The idea of talking about my favorite anything is an incredibly scary idea because just it's so hard to pick your favorite out of all time, out of everything. I'm only almost 30, Ethan. How can I pick my favorite anything? I guess favorite up
Well,
to this point, right? Because I can't
Well, I
see
mean,
the
you
future.
could be like me and just
Star
be
Wars
sad and
Episode
make a
30
bunch
is
of-
going to be my favorite.
You could be like me and just be sad and make a bunch of lists for like 29 years of your lives trying to figure out what your favorite is. But hey, you know what else, Matt? You know what else? Maybe you have multiple favorites, and that's also okay. Like, maybe you have a few different films that you're like, oh man, this handful of films, they're my favorites. Like, that's more than acceptable. Do you guys have a landline?
What?
I heard a phone ring.
Not on my end.
What the heck? Am I going crazy?
We don't have a landline. We just have phones, and no one's phones rang here.
Good thing I have therapy tonight. Hey guys, I heard this phone ringing. I don't know where it came from. I think I'm losing it.
Just talking about ghosts and shit. No, there's a ghost phone in my house.
You never
I'm
picked
gonna
me
keep that in
up.
the podcast. That was hilarious. That was hilarious mid-thing. Like, do you have a landline? I'm like, what are you talking about?
No, Ethan's just going crazy. Great.
Sounds about right.
But
I appreciate that I can have multiple favorites. But I'll try and pick one. We'll see how it goes.
No, because at the end of the day, like, I'm pretty sure I have multiple favorites. But like when it comes to movies, when it comes to like your favorite movies of all time, and I want to preface this with like, we can both agree Star Wars is in our top favorite movies, right? Like that's
Star Wars is always amazing.
Like, and we don't need
or
to
at
go
least
on and
always
on about
averagely amazing.
Exactly. But we don't need to go on about how they're our favorites. Like, let's, So other than Star Wars,
let's not include Star Wars. Okay. I see what you're doing here.
Yeah, other than Star Wars, because they're getting their own specials, man. Of course, we don't need to include Star Wars.
2 episodes from now, episode 2 special.
Oh, it's been promoted. It's been hyped. Be ready, people.
The hype is real. The Clone Wars are coming.
So, Matt, I want to know. What would you say are some of your favorite movies, or your absolute favorite movie, either or.
Me first.
If you want to, if you need, I can go first if you want. But
what are my favorite movies? What are my favorite movies?
It's just a half hour of
honestly,
you asking that question.
What are my favorite movies? I think you have to start out by defining what is favorite. What does that mean? What is the position and point of that? Clearly the position is at the top, but what's the point of even having a favorite? What added value does that bring on to the existence of human life on this planet? That is the first question we have to answer.
Hey, Matt.
But, yeah.
Are you stalling? Are you stalling so you can think of an answer?
No. I have answers. I'm just undecided between them.
But I think you actually bring up a very
I'm honestly putting way more
point.
mental effort into stalling than figuring out what my favorite actually is.
But genuinely though, you're bringing up an excellent point, because yes, do you have a favorite movie that makes you happy? Do you have a favorite movie that makes you cry? Do you have a favorite movie that makes you just turn off your brain and watch explosions? Like that's
guilty pleasures.
Exactly. Like favorite comedy, favorite horror, favorite thing like that. So there are several answers, and I'm down to explore those answers with you. I just wanted to make sure you weren't stalling or anything.
No, I was legitimately asking these questions as a I was gonna say theologian, but that's not right. Philosopher.
Philologian. That sounds like something that like a sea creature has as like an appendage. If you look, this is the fish's philologian right here, and that's how it finds its food. Oh yes, that's science and stuff.
But as a philosopher, I feel that's important to ask these types of questions. But in other words, yes, I was stalling, only a little bit though, and I was putting more effort into the stall than actually thinking, so it was actually counterproductive to the whole thing in general. So it didn't help one bit. I just want to clarify that.
If you want, I can answer first. If you need to think about it, I can answer first, man.
What is my favorite movie of all time? Okay. Okay, maybe you should go first.
You know, if it's gonna make your life easier, I can do that for you. I can.
Yeah, you go. Let's start with you. Let's start with you.
So if I had to pick one movie that I would consider my favorite, it would be Back to the Future. And I think I've talked about it a little bit, but to me, Back to the Future is a near perfect movie. I know it has its flaws here and there, but overall, like, it's just got a solid story. It's got a solid soundtrack, great acting, a fun premise. Just
It is fun.
ridiculous
Fun,
overall, and it's one of those movies I can just put on and just I know I'm gonna enjoy it. The sequels are good as well. I love the sequels. It's just fun to think about too when you think about the mechanics of that movie and how all of it takes place in the span of like a day, essentially. Like
A very short period
in total
of time.
for
Yeah.
in total for everybody, it takes place in a
Yeah.
day, except for Doc and Marty, who are like
Marty. Yeah.
you know, who basically I think it's almost like a couple weeks worth of time that they're on this adventure, which is kind of crazy.
Quite
but
a while.
I think it's one of those movies that really resonates with me. It's a feel good movie. It doesn't really make me emotional at all, though. It just makes me feel like yeah, and like even the soundtrack. There's montages online of like every movie is made better by the Back to the Future theme, where like it'll be like one of the examples is RoboCop at the very end when he like kills the final bad guy. They took out the regular RoboCop music and they just added the Back to the Future theme, and that ba ba da ba 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 is just so triumphant.
Nice.
And like it's great. Even dude, Back to the Future had a Telltale game that was just on point. I have the comics. Like,
Did it?
Yeah.
I never played that game. I
It's-
didn't know they had one.
it's so good. It's really good, and it's a continuation after the third movie. I like it. It's one of those. It's also one of those movies too. I just don't feel like you could ever remake. I don't think you could ever do a remake of Back to the Future.
Oh, that would be tough.
It would be because like
That would be
the
tough.
time
yeah.
periods are so specific to that story, that like you need that 50s aesthetic and that 80s aesthetic. You need that. So it'd have to be a period piece if you did, and just like the technologies and I don't know, like it just I don't think it could be touched. I think it's one of those few ones that could not be touched for a remake. And honestly, I know people are demanding a sequel or demanding things like this, and I love it because the creators are just like, yeah, over our dead body, like, and I think they have things like set up where even after they pass away, like you can't have a sequel made to it. Like that is how strongly they feel about that, and I agree with them. I support that because like I had an idea for a sequel, but then I heard that I'm like, you know what? I don't need that idea for a sequel because that's fine by me. I don't think it needs more. It is what it is. It exists where it exists, and whether you just watch the first one or you watch all three, it's solid, right? And like I just like it's a franchise I can't talk enough about. Like, and I'm constantly learning new things about the productions, and I'm constantly learning about new things about what went on there. Like it's yeah. So that'd be my favorite one of all time. Otherwise, like I have other favorites too, like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings. Those they count, but do they count because they're Star Wars and Lord of the Rings, right? Like they're so impactful.
They're just amazing. Yeah, I think you almost got to leave out Star Wars and Lord of the Rings just because like their level of how iconic they are. And we know they're really well-made movies already. We know they're really awesome, and maybe not everyone loves them. Fair enough. I get it. Everyone,
but like
all movies are subjective. Even the greatest of movies are subjective. But yeah, for me and you, for sure, Star Wars and Lord of the Rings are, they're up there. So this is beside them. I get that. It's that.
like, so like for me, other movies too. Like I love The Exorcist. I think is a phenomenal, like not even just it's not even just like a phenomenal horror movie. Like it's a good horror movie, but like even just like a story about faith and like someone struggling with their faith.
It scares me.
Like no, dude. Like I've reached a point where I'm no longer scared of it. I just like I see it as like a struggle of like a man's faith and like him overcoming that struggle in order to defeat evil, and I think that's an amazing story. The Warriors is a phenomenal movie. Have you seen The Warriors, Matt?
Nope.
You gotta watch The Warriors. It's so good. It's just like it's a 70s gang movie set in like the distant future, and it's just about this group of gang members who are framed for a murder, and they have to try and make their way home safely. And it's just it's such a good. It's so good. Like it's so good. Goodness. This is the problem for me is like yeah, I could list like 50
you
different
just keep
movies
listing movies.
that are my
Like that's why it's so hard to pick your favorite movie. Like even like get rid of like your favorite comedy, your favorite drama, favorite blah blah blah. If you're just saying your favorite movie, you can say one, and then you're like, but also any one of these other 35 movies. Like, it's tough, man. It's a tough call.
Well, that's where I think I should have added an S to the favorite movie of all time. I should have been like favorite movies. Because I think at the end of the day, like, and that's honestly kind of what I wanted to do today, is just kind of let's revel in the things that just make us happy and excited. Like, let's talk about like just some of our favorite movie stuff. Like, it's what gets your blood pumping just by thinking about it. What gets you like really just like gives you chills and makes you, because like any of the movies I've listed, that's how I feel. Like, my heart just starts pumping and I just get really warm and tingly, and I just feel good when I think about these movies that like I consider my favorites. They resonate a feeling in me that there are other movies that, you know, just don't make me feel that way. They're just kind of like, it's not that they fall flat, it's not that I don't think they're good, but they just don't excite me the way that these other ones do. Right?
True that. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like Indiana Jones franchise, I think, is another one that fits in like that lore. They fit in that like the Lord of the Rings, Star Wars
Okay, well now you're just talking about Steven Spielberg now, pretty much. Right? Like, I guess Lord of the Rings isn't Steven Spielberg, but yeah.
But then even like I know we talked about it in
spoilers.
We talked about it in the 90s one, Iron Giant. That's another one that I just, when I think about it, I guess, dude, actually no. You know what no one talks about and I love, and I don't watch it enough, but I love, is Titan AE. I love that movie. You know that movie?
I owned that movie for a while. I've totally forgot that exists.
It's so good. It's still so good.
Yeah, because Earth gets destroyed, right?
And they have to make a second Earth, and like it's all like, it's about finding like this.
And it's a journey to that other planet, isn't it?
It's a journey to make the other planet. Like, there's a space station.
Oh, okay.
I think the space station is called the Titan, and it has the stuff to make the Earth. But in the meantime, they're also fighting off. Oh, I don't think it's the Zurg, because I want to say Zurg is the villain from Toy Story 2, like Buzz Lightyear's.
That is
Buzz
from
Lightyear's.
Toy Story. Then Buzz Lightyear's arch nemesis arrives. No connection.
But no, it's those energy beings, they have to fight them. And like, man, like that's a movie that like just I get excited.
I forgot about that movie.
I get excited
completely.
It's so good. But also, speaking of Toy Story, that's another series that's just so good. Like, and they just make my heart sing. Like, it's just like, I think that's actually it. That's like movies that make your heart sing, Matt. What are they?
Oh, now it's back to me. Okay.
Well, I mean, like, I can keep going. Dude, I could go on.
No, I'm good.
It's just going to turn into me.
Things.
It's just going to turn into me, like, listing all these movies. And just being like, oh, this one, this one, yeah. But, like...
I agree. I agree with the list and the movies that you've thrown down, especially Back to the Future. Good. Man, like, Back to the Future is so good. It's so classic. I never watched them all the way through when I was younger, but it was only when I was older that I actually watched the movies from beginning to end, and then the sequel beginning to end. Like, I had all these memories of, like, bits and pieces, but I couldn't quite remember where they all fit in. But it wasn't until I was older that I watched all of them, and I was like, these are magical. Like, just the relationship, again, between Doc and Marty, that's, like, the core of those movies, right? They're so great, and Doc and Marty were so well done. When you look at the backstory, it's amazing that movie is as amazing as it is. It's a lot of is-asses and bizazes.
You heard about the casting problems with that, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like they cast Marty, and then he wasn't working, so they fired him. And they originally wanted
half the movie.
They really originally wanted Michael J. Fox in the movie, but he was shooting Family Ties. And he wanted to do the movie, but he's like, but I'm shooting Family Ties. So they tried shooting it with this other guy, and that didn't work. So then they came back and they're like, is there any way we can make this work? And so Michael J. Fox was literally going, like, shooting his show in the day, and then at night shooting Back to the Future.
Yeah.
And was just going, and the fact that he was going between two sets in a day, shooting as much as he was, and still had the energy that he did throughout that entire production is amazing.
Yeah, it really speaks to his abilities and skills as an actor, for sure.
The passion. Like, the passion and the commitment to that, to his craft, right? Like, that's... Whether people think he's a good actor or not, like, just that... Like,
it's a real shame what happened to the Michael J. Fox.
It is, but he's also put so much effort and research into finding a cure and finding solutions to Parkinson's. And again, and that speaks to his character as a person, because he took that drive and commitment from acting and put that into his work and put that into the things that he was passionate about finding a cure for. And that's where, like, you have the Michael J. Fox Foundation that donates towards Parkinson's and all that kind of stuff, and, like, puts towards Parkinson's study. And I think that's, again, I agree with you. What happened is horrible and it's a tragedy, but it's also, he's made good come out of it. And I think that's the important thing, which again speaks to him as, like, just as a person, right? He's someone
100%.
I'd love to sit down and just have a conversation with him. I think that would be,
just have a coffee with him, man. Just have a coffee, even like 10 minutes. Like, let's just sit down and shoot the shit and talk about life.
like, not like,
just,
I don't,
yeah,
like,
have
I
a
don't even want
conversation.
to, like, no, don't tell me Back to the Future. Talk to me about yourself. Tell me about you and your life, man. Like, I just want to know you.
Yeah.
But, like,
I agree with that.
But, like, Back to the Future shouldn't exist, but it totally does, and I'm glad it does. They got rejected. Dude, the director and writer got rejected by, like, 40 different times from different studios before they finally got picked up. They actually had to fire their agent because their agent was misrepresenting the film. And they're like, no, we're going to get a different one, because, like...
Never give up on your dreams, people.
No, and that's exactly it, and that's the big thing, is, like, don't quit. So anyway, back to you, Matt. What's some of your...
stop believing. Streetlights, people. Yeah.
You're saying I should hold on to those feelings?
Hold on to those feelings. Okay, for me, my favorite movie of all time is the American version of Godzilla that came out in '98. That is my favorite movie, hands.
I can't tell if you're making a joke or if you're being serious.
Oh man, your face is killing me right now. No,
Like,
I'm making a joke.
Okay.
I actually do enjoy that movie.
No,
I
it's
don't
fun.
hate it as much as other people hate it.
Honestly?
But no, it's not.
If that movie wasn't a Godzilla movie, if it was just...
It would be fine.
If it was like, there's an old stop motion animation movie back in the day called Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. And if it was that, it would be perfect. It fits the tone exactly, and the design is closer and all that kind of stuff. It would have been great. But they're like, nah, this is Godzilla now. And, like, as a kid, I loved it. And I think we both talked about how much we loved the cartoon growing up.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But, like, as a Godzilla movie, it's just not quite
It's
Godzilla.
not Godzilla. Yeah, exactly. But no, I actually enjoy that movie. I like Matthew Broderick in that movie. He does a great job.
He's great.
And that French guy was fantastic in that movie as well. Solid. Don't know his name, but he was great. But no, that movie was fine. It's not my favorite movie of all time. I think I have to give my favorite movie of all time, at least at the point that we're at right now, has to go to The Dark Knight. It just has to. I've gone over in my head so many times, so many movies that I love. And there's no movie that I went to in the theater as much as I went to in The Dark Knight. Like, in one summer, I went 10, 11 times. I've never seen a movie in the theater more than double digits, except that movie. That was the most I've ever been to a theater to see one film. The most times. Hands down, easy. I worked all summer to make money just so I could just keep going back and watching The Dark Knight. I love that movie. It was great. And not just because it's a superhero movie. It was great because it was just a really great movie with the character developments and the fantastic performances. I think it really helped that movie was grounded in reality. Because I think, when did that come out? 2008, I think.
Yeah. Same year as Iron Man.
2000. Yeah, same year as Iron Man. Right. And they were both great, but they were both great for different reasons, right? Like, Iron Man was a fantastic comic book superhero movie. It was really well done. The Dark Knight was just, in general, a great movie. Like, you take the comic book out of it. You take away the fact that it's Batman, and you just have a vigilante who's protecting the city and watching over it. It's a great movie. It doesn't even necessarily need to be Batman, but the fact that it was obviously adds to it. But just a fantastic movie. So that has to be my favorite right now, especially because we're cutting out Star Wars. Lord of the Rings, The Dark Knight, hands down. It's got to be. I shouldn't say hands down, because I'm about to go into a list of a whole bunch of other movies that I like. But like Dark Knight is just it is right up there. Another one I love is Gangs of New York. That movie was great. Did you see that movie?
Yeah, I'm surprised that it's one of your favorites, but like I get it. Like I really enjoyed that
Like
one.
Daniel Day-Lewis, Leonardo DiCaprio, that movie.
Liam Neeson.
Cameron Diaz was in that. Liam Neeson was in that movie. That's right. Gangs in New York. That was a really great movie as well. Love that one. Just because, like, I think the time period that it was set in, too. Like, because Gangs in New York isn't, like, modern-day New York. It's 1700s or whatever it took place in. But, yeah, that was a really interesting one. What else did I love? I had one on top. Oh, The Departed. Did you see The Departed?
Still need to see. No, I still need to see that.
Dude, watch that movie. Watch it, man. You will
but
not be disappointed.
But it's 3 hours long and not Lord of the Rings.
Is The Departed 3 hours long? It might be.
I think so. I want to say it's a longer one.
I can't remember.
Because I'm pretty sure it's Scorsese, isn't it?
I don't know. Maybe. I think so. Anyway, but it's got Jack Nicholson's in there. He's fantastic. You got Ben Affleck. Is he in that movie? Just wait.
2.5. It's only 2.5 long. That's not that bad.
I gotta look at this. Here. What did I say? The Departed?
Yeah. I'd have to actually have time in my day to watch it.
Oh, that was also... Never mind. Not bad. Leonardo DiCaprio. That was also another Leo movie. Another Leo movie. And I'm not even a huge fan of Leo. I like his movies, but it's funny how many movies are coming up on the list. But The Departed, Jack Nicholson, Matt Damon, Leonardo DiCaprio, Mark Wahlberg's in there, Martin Sheen, Alec Baldwin. It is a fantastic movie, and it's going to keep you guessing right to the end, and like you just like there's so many different twists and turns and the use of tension in this film because of like the undercover cop elements is just
I want to say I think
it's so remake. Good, man. It's so good. It is.
Because it's a remake of like a. Is it Indonesian or it's an overseas? Film?
It is an overseas film. Yeah, I can't remember exactly which one, but The Departed is great. Check that out. Watch that film, man. You will not be disappointed. It's on my list. You will not be disappointed. My list.
Oh, actually, I own a steelbook of it too. I have no
Darkest
excuse.
Hour.
Yeah, Matt, I totally finally watched Darkest Hour. I definitely totally did that.
I do not believe you.
I definitely did.
Speaking of Darkest Hour is also on my list. I love that movie as well. Fantastic. We already talked about it in length, so I don't need to talk about it again. If you want to hear me talk about it, go to episode 2 or 3.
I don't remember which one, man. That's not a good sign.
I talked a whole bunch about Darkest Hour.
We've only done 8 episodes.
Episode 8, and we're like, what episode were things on? Yeah.
It's
that movie's great.
No, go back and listen to all of our stuff again, and you'll eventually find it.
You will find it. It is close to the beginning, though. What else we talking about here, baby? What else we talking about? Obviously, Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Another great film, right? Super iconic. Super amazing. Don't need to even say anything about that. You guys get it. Forrest Gump. Amazing. The Shawshank Redemption is another one. That's
now you're just listing off 90s movies, man. What the heck?
Only three. Only three. Because now we're going to go to Braveheart. Now we're going to go to The Gladiator. Now we're going to go...
I want to say Braveheart is also the 90s.
It's just Gladiator.
Braveheart's also the 90s.
Braveheart... You're right. Braveheart is, I'm pretty sure, in the 90s. But Gladiator isn't. That's 2000.
Dude, that's another
Gladiator's
one.
Gladiator's 2000. And The Patriot also fantastic.
Oh, The Patriot is so good.
Dude, I love The Patriot. So, for me, and I could keep going on the list, man, but it's so hard to decide and choose a movie that is my favorite of all time, because look at these movies. You can put The Dark Knight next to any of them, and they're equally as good, if not better films, right, than any of the ones that I put on my list. So it's so tough. And that's not even talking about really comedy. That's just my favorite movies in general.
Yep.
Those are great films. Great films.
To bring up two more, because this is a completely different discussion, but also like it kind of falls in the same lane. Have you seen The Fugitive before?
Yes, The Fugitive, another one.
So
Amazing.
Me and my roommate have discussed this a few times about what makes a perfect movie or what makes a near perfect movie, and in both of our opinions, whether we think it's our favorite movie or not, The Fugitive to us is a perfect movie. Like, what would you change about it? Literally, what's anything would you change? Any casting, story beats, any kind of action sequences,
Pacing, yeah.
Like everything about it is just perfect, and I love that movie. And I forget about it until I go and rewatch it, and I'm like, no, this movie is great. This movie's amazing.
Harrison Ford, Tommy Lee Jones. There's a mystery involved. There's mistaken identity. I didn't kill my wife.
I don't care.
Yeah. Oh. Man, and those two actors, literally, Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee Jones, head to head. That's just gold.
Perfect.
Right? That was money.
It's perfect, man. It's perfect.
Yeah.
And then the other one is Emperor's New Groove. Name something wrong with Emperor's New Groove, and you can't do it.
I haven't seen it. I have not seen it recently enough to be able to say one way or the other. It was an okay movie. If you go back and rewatch it, it's not my favorite.
No. I guarantee you, as an adult, you'll find it perfect because there's nothing you can change about it. It's just perfect the way it is. It wasn't well received. What if they
changed him into a chipmunk? It didn't have to be a llama.
No, the llama works for the setting they picked. It makes perfect sense.
I guess. I don't remember the movie, to be honest, that much. I like Kronk. He was funny.
Oh, he's great.
Oh yeah, but I mean, like what else? What else do you want me to say, man? Like, what else do you want me to say? And what is there to say? Like, it's hard to pick a favorite movie because every year there's amazing movies that come out, and I haven't even watched all the ones from 2019, right? All the ones of the Academy Awards. There's there's Jojo Rabbit I haven't seen. That's got to be one of your favorite movies.
Oh, easily.
Of all time. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's just...
Again, man, it's...
Yeah, what do you say, man? What do you say?
That's the thing is, I'm not really, as bad as this is going to sound, I don't really care what you say as long as you're feeling warm and fuzzy and your heart is singing when you think about these films. Because that's what today's about.
What I say.
No, today is about personal positivity, man. Today is about you feeling great, about me feeling great.
About you guys feeling great.
Yes, the people listening along. What are some of your favorite movies? We'd love to see that in the comments below. Make a list. Give us an essay. We would love to know what movies make you feel warm and fuzzy. What movies make your heart sing. Just thinking about them. Not even just watching them, but when you think about them, what gets you excited? We want to know. Because that's... At the end of the day, though, isn't that what we started this podcast for?
It's exactly why we started this podcast. Was to make, exactly why.
To talk about what we love about film. And now we've talked about what we love for the film. For films, let's talk about...
Saving Private Ryan? Come on.
That leads me to the next thing, but let's talk about our favorite filmmakers. The favorite directors that we have. The people who make these movies that we love. Matt, do you got people, or do you want me to go again first?
Dude, of course I got people. Of course
I got people.
Who
you got, Matt? Who you got?
And I'm going to take the one that we all know. Steven Spielberg. He's the GOAT. The greatest of all time. He can make any movie, any genre, any theme, and it is freaking awesome. He does such a great job. Not to mention even just movies. Incredibly talented man, obviously.
The movies he produces, too. Like...
They usually come out very well.
They have that...
He picks the right people.
They have that... Spielberg sheen to them, and he's honestly one of my favorite directors as well. Like when I think about movies and I think about
I knew that, and that's why I said it, because I'm like, of course.
Oh, so you want to steal my answer? I see how it is.
He's got to be at the top. Well, I just figure we'll get him out of the way because we know he is the GOAT.
Well,
greatest personally, of all time, baby.
Personally, as a filmmaker, like he's the one I aspire to work towards to even reach that level. And it's not even just necessarily about his filming style and stuff like that, but even just the heart that he makes, the way that he makes you feel when you're watching one of his movies, right? Yeah, it's kind of sometimes cheesy and predictable. Maybe there's not a lot of... It's really weird, because a lot of his films are predictable as heck, but also they keep you on the edge of your seat. Yeah. It's like, you know exactly what's going to happen, but, like, you're still like, wait, but is it gonna happen? Like, what's
Well, his
like?
use and tension, especially in those movies that require it, it's just amazing. Like it's masterful. Like he has mastered storytelling in that medium
100%.
better than anybody else. And no one can hold a candle to him. Not yet, anyway. No one in our modern, no new movie filmmaker coming up right now even holds a candle. You have some great directors, but no one still yet holds a candle to Steven
No,
Spielberg.
exactly. One like because he was kind of the first of his breed. In all honesty, he was like the first.
Yeah.
Like there were big directors, and then there was Steven Spielberg, and he came out and he made a name for himself.
Yeah.
And like that's just like it's inspirational. And again, he's one of those directors who if I can even achieve 1/10 of his success, maybe even 1/100th, I will be content because like he knows what he's doing. He knows stories. And but I think that's what also makes him a good producer as well as a good director is he knows the good stories. He knows what to invest in. He knows what to put his time into.
That's what it is at the end of the day, right? When it comes to movies, it's all about storytelling. And how do we convey these stories and these messages? How do we bring the audience along with us on this journey? And he, like I said, he's the greatest of all time. He knows. And it's not just like he's a master of one genre. He can jump from genre to genre. And it still has that Spielberg magic.
Exactly.
Like he can do Jurassic Park and E.T.
Dude, he did
Still magic.
same year. I think I talked about this last time. In the same year, he directed Jurassic Park and Schindler's List. In the same year, and he went back and forth between. I can't remember which one he was done production on first, but like he went back and forth, and he was doing pre-production or post-production on one and production on the other. And like in all honesty, though, he needed that Jurassic Park movie in order to survive and deal with Schindler's List. Like that was how man, like just the workload that he took on with even just the emotional content. Like I don't know. I think about it and I lose my train of thought because I can't imagine doing something like that. Like that is crazy, but in the best way possible, and both turned out so good. Like one didn't suffer because of the other. Like both are and they don't feel anything like each other. They don't have any kind of crossover in tone. Even going to like to their soundtracks and stuff like that. Yeah. John Williams did both soundtracks and they don't sound anything alike. There's no crossover and it's astounding and it's amazing and it's worth the recognition. I know he gets enough recognition. I know that there's so many people who talk about how great he is. But like what the man's done. Dude, Who Framed Roger Rabbit is the only time that Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny are on screen together. Steven Spielberg did that. He didn't direct it, but he produced it, and he made it happen. Like,
who else could have?
Like that's the kind of guy he is. He can make things happen. So
money.
Who else is there? Who else to you is your favorite director?
Well, of course you got Taika Waititi. We love him. We love our Taika Waititi. His movies are great. He's again just another fantastic storyteller, and how he puts his movies together and combines the darkness of kind of the human experience sometimes, but it's also he counters that with comedy and light, and he has the perfect balance between the two. So his movies never feel too dark. Never, though, do they feel like they're a complete joke. You know, like even Thor Ragnarok. That movie was hilarious. But when you take out the comedy, you're like, that is probably one of the darkest movies in the Marvel lineup. Just if you look at the events and the things that happen in that movie, that is one of the darkest movies that Marvel has made. But yet, you don't think of it that way. You think of it, man, this is one of the funniest movies Marvel's made. So he balances all that really heavy, dark stuff. He gives it the emotion and time that it needs. But he also balances it out perfectly with that comedic element. So he is fantastic. What We Do in the Shadows, again, look at those events. They're probably pretty... You think about them kind of scary or, in a certain way, not always great. Like, there's a lot of darkness there even just in the themes he's dealing with. But because it's so funny, again, it's that perfect balance. So you can watch it, you can take it in, and you're not leaning towards too much towards one way or the other. Anyway, one of the great directors, Taika Waititi. Christopher Nolan is another fantastic director. Absolutely love him. Just great. We talked about Ron Howard the other day too. Another just really solid director. Just really understands what's going on. I mean, yeah, Francis Ford Coppola is a classic, but also you got like Martin Scorsese as well, right?
Yeah.
Martin Scorsese has to be up there again with one of the best directors of all time, easily. Like, he's not Spielberg, but damn, his movies are really, really well made. So these guys are all masterful storytellers. And I think when it comes to being a director, that's what you have to have. Like, it's part understanding your shots and knowing what's going on and having the control and the understanding what's going on in your environment and what's like directing all these things that are happening to make these movies happen. And if people think it's not a lot, it is an incredible amount, because you're not just focused on the actors, you're focused on special effects, you're focused on the camera work, on the shots, on everything that goes into making the film. The director is the last say. That's where the buck stops. And so they have all this stuff to juggle, but yet these guys have all managed to do it so masterfully and put together some really, really great works. The Russo brothers, another one, right? Like, they came into Marvel and they made huge changes with Winter Soldier, with Captain America Civil War. They're the ones who put together Infinity War and Endgame. They are also incredibly talented storytellers and directors. And of course, they did a lot of stuff in the Community, not the Community as in group of people, but in the series Community, right, as well. So yeah, like, these guys, it's not easy being a director, but these guys have managed to pull it off, being able to tell their stories. And they don't just tell the stories through the actors, but through the shots, through the effects, through the environments. Everything that goes on is part of the storytelling experience. And these directors, as far as I'm concerned, are some of the best at their study at what they do as far as telling the story. Who are your favorite directors? I was gonna say buddy.
It's fine.
I'm getting carried away. I'm just gonna go.
It's
sit
2020.
somewhere.
You can call me what you want. Honestly, we talked about Spielberg. Peter Jackson is another huge one for me.
Oh yeah, of course.
Like, regardless of Lord of the Rings or stuff like that, like, but the Frighteners, I love the Frighteners. It's Michael J. Fox is a ghost hunter, and it's so good. It's so good, man. It's actually the reason why Lord of the Rings got made, was because, like, they basically made this movie, and they, like, it's one of the first ones in the 90s that had, like, a lot of CG in it. So they bought all these computers for all the CG and stuff like that, and they used it, and then they're like, so now we have all these computers, well, what can we make next? And they were gonna make King Kong after that. They were, but they couldn't get the rights to it, and they couldn't get stuff figured out with it enough, so it got scrapped. And they're like, oh, but we have the rights to Lord of the Rings. Okay, let's make a Lord of the Rings movie. And so they made Lord of the Rings because they had all these computers to do that with. And then after that, they got to do King Kong. And I love his adaptation of King Kong as well. It's so good. It's so well thought out. It's a great remake because it takes good things that were made in the original one, and they recreated them in a way that was different enough, but similar enough that, like, it wasn't just shot-for-shot remake, but it wasn't a complete departure from what the source material was.
Right.
Like, it's so good. Like, and that just, like, even the Hobbit films, I know a lot of people hate them, but, like, overall, they're still good movies. Like, they're not great movies, but they're good. Like, they do the job. And I still enjoy them. Like, I like what Peter Jackson does. His production work with Spielberg on the Tintin movie. I'm so excited for whenever they make a sequel, because apparently it's still in the works, but I'm on board. I love that movie. It was so good. Mel Brooks is another one of my favorite directors. I really love his stuff. Expert of comedic timing, especially in his older stuff. Just really well executed comedies with a lot of heart. I just had another one, and it's gone now.
James Gunn, man. I totally forgot about James Gunn.
Love James Gunn.
He's a fantastic director.
He's got a good sense of, like, even, like, going back to Slither. I love Slither. I think it's a good horror movie, but it's just a fun, entertaining kind of, not parody. It's not a parody in the slightest, but it's like a good homage to like old school monster movies, monsters from space kind of movies. Like, I mean, like, I love me a good Tarantino movie too. Like, I think he's pretty good. There was one that I like really. I mean, John Hughes. I like his stuff too. Breakfast Club is amazing. I actually want to check and make sure that was him. I'm pretty sure that was John Hughes. Yeah, Breakfast Club. Breakfast Club was his as well. There's so many to choose from, and like some directors just have one or two good movies and then they disappear, and that's fine. Like that's. But one of my favorite ones that I just I've been saving because I don't know, I feel like he doesn't get enough credit as is and kind of gets crapped on a little bit, is Brad Bird. I think Brad Bird is he's one of the best directors out there. He did The Incredibles 1 and 2. He did Ratatouille, The Iron Giant. And he did Tomorrowland. And I love Tomorrowland. A lot of people hate that movie. And I don't understand
Never
why.
saw it. Never saw it.
That's the thing. No one went and saw it. And a lot of people who didn't like it because it was either too preachy or too predictable or too silly. And yeah, it's not a perfect movie by any means, but it's still got such a good heart behind it and such good intentions that I love it. And it makes my heart warm. And you can tell his Brad Birdisms are in there. Like, in all honesty, if you want to pick someone to make a Superman film or a Fantastic Four film, it should be Brad Bird. And you want to know why? Because he essentially made a Superman film when he made Iron Giant, and he essentially made Fantastic Four when he did Incredibles. The dude understands story, he understands heart, he understands camera movement, he understands good acting. Like, the dude just gets it. And I don't think I've seen a single thing of his that I dislike. Like, he's good. And he deserves more. He deserves to get more productions out there. But yeah, I don't know. There's so many directors to talk about, man. There's so many great people to talk about, and it's just
like film, right? Like, and you can't even count them all. There's so many directors who are out there doing great things, like, and not all of them are huge or have the main stage, but even like some of the things you see on TV that you love and that are great, we don't always look towards our directors, I guess, until they get a little bit bigger or their names are a bit more out there. But yeah, there's a lot of people out there who do just really, really great work. And there's really great ones that we didn't even touch upon. That's how many are out there. It's just like film, right? How do you pick your favorite one? And it's kind of the same for directors. How do you really pick your favorite? Like, maybe you're inclined to watch one movie or another, but they all have different gifts and abilities and talents and excel at different things. But yeah, I agree, man.
I just remembered the other one I forgot. John Carpenter. He's one of my favorites too. He's just got a good eye for horror, a good eye for like classic 80s cheese and horror, and I love revisiting his films. They're fun. They usually got something to say too, and it just, yeah. Man, but no, as you said, there's just so many to choose from, and I know there's ones we're forgetting, and I feel bad because we're forgetting them. But like, just, man, just movies and stuff make my heart happy. It's just so good.
Make my heart happy.
And speaking of movies and things that make your heart happy, hey Matt, what's your favorite movie score of all time? That isn't Star Wars.
Ah, you son of a bitch. Ah, you bugger.
Nah, you can talk about Star Wars if you want.
You bugger. Okay, well, let's just be honest. Anything by John Williams, for the most part, is
I know, I was thinking about it, and I was like,
right?
I was trying to think about stuff that wasn't John Williams, and it's just like, okay, well, I like Jurassic Park, John Williams. I like E.T., John Williams. Jaws, E.T.
Superman.
Fudge. Yeah, no, Superman.
John Williams. Indiana Jones, John Williams.
But there are so many good composers out there.
I agree. But we're talking about scores, right? Specifically, not necessarily the composers, because I don't always know all their names. But there's a lot of really great music. Like Lord of the Rings, obviously. Those scores are just... I listen to that music, and it's very similar to Star Wars in a way that I can... Maybe a little bit more Lord of the Rings, but I listen to the music and immediately I'm in the movie. and I can feel the emotion that is behind the music. And Star Wars is similar, but I think it's more events in Star Wars. In Lord of the Rings, I can feel the emotion of the movie. Those things come back immediately as soon as I'm listening to it. So Lord of the Rings is great. I'm also a big fan of a lot of the Dark Knight scores are awesome. Hans Zimmer, right? Man of Steel is probably, again, one of my favorites. Like that music, especially then. Like, that's a pretty sick piece of music. Even if you don't like Man of Steel, that piece of music is pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome.
Question to you.
But the Avengers themes, a lot of the Marvel music and scores, love them as well.
Question to you about this though. When it comes to aside from themes, because I think themes need to stand out all the time.
Yeah,
I think I think themes need to stick out. But when it comes to the rest of the movie score, what to you makes an ideal movie score?
I think being able to capture the emotion of the movie, the emotion of the moment, the emotion of the characters, and communicate things that can't be communicated through sometimes lines or sometimes through vocal actions, or there's so many things that music communicates that we can't communicate in other ways. So that's really what makes a great score for me.
So then,
it's not necessarily about
do you think that they should stick out, or do you think like obviously they shouldn't just like not be noticeable, but do you think that when it comes to like, again, not including the themes, because like main themes, they should stick out, but do you think that those music cues should stand out, or do you think they should just feel a part of? Because like to me, I think a good movie score is one that like you don't necessarily notice but still makes you feel things, if that makes any sense. Like it's one that you didn't like when you're watching the movie, if you can sit there and suddenly be like, oh man, I love this cue at this moment right here. Well, did that take you out of the movie because you love how the music worked, or like what's your thoughts on that? Because like I'm torn on it.
Well, yeah, I think it really needs to add to it, especially when you're talking about not necessarily the theme or something like when there's action. Obviously, music really needs to start coming through, right?
Yeah.
And not again, I don't want to go to Star Wars again, but we just rewatched Episode 1 and Duel of the Fates, right? The music in there is perfect because all that's going on is shooting, blasting, action. You're not getting a lot of character lines in that kind of communication, right? But so those music beats need to like stand a little bit above, so you really feel like the epicness and the involvement of it.
But it also doesn't overpower those moments, though. You can
still hear the blaster fire.
But it's not even about just hearing it. It's about the way it feels in the whole thing. Is you're not sitting there going like, oh man, bum 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 bum. Like you can be, but like when you were first watching that, when I was first watching it, and even watching it again, I was so caught up in the moment that I wasn't sitting there going like... But it adds
to those moments,
and that's right? And that's what I think it is like, as long as it's not like...
It's that perfect balance.
As long as you're not just stopping everything you're doing to just be like, oop, now I just got to listen to the music, but you're still in the moment with that film and brought into it. That's moments where, like, honestly, watching that, I can say that my brain doesn't register the music there. Like, it's there, it's registered, but I'm not sitting there focusing and being like, oh, yes, this music track. It's just such a part of it. And that's what I think is really important.
And that's what it has to be. It has to be stitched in there. And if you're looking for it, it has to be noticeable. But when you're not looking for it, it just gets you encompassed completely and involved into the story. And that's to it. Like, can you imagine Star Wars without the music? Without the music, it's just a bunch of sound effects and things like footsteps, whatever, right? Like there's nothing, but once you put the music in there, it completes the image, it completes the picture, the story, everything that's going on. And that's what I think a good score needs to do. It needs to complete the picture, it needs to complete the image of what you're doing, the untold parts of the story. That's what the music needs to bring to the table. And it can be used incredibly powerfully. Whether it's used louder, whether it's used softer, whether it's cut off at certain moments. It's just, music can be such a powerful tool. The score can be an incredibly powerful tool to the movie. And without a score, without music, things are kind of awkward. Because then it's living everyday life. You know what I mean? It's like you talked about in that one Star Wars episode. where you put Star Wars on when you're driving through a blizzard and you're like, oh, it's like I'm in hyperspace. Like, it just adds to the moment, even
Oh, yeah.
in real life, when we put that music on. And that's what a good score needs to do for a film. It needs to add to the moment, complete the picture, and that's a hard thing, I guess, to do. That's a hard thing to say and explain, because it's not like you need to have it at this decibel level. That's not something I can specifically say or do.
Well, it depends on the scene,
It's
right?
got to be part of the feeling, and it depends on the moment of the movie and
Yeah.
where we're at. Again, I'll go back to The Last of Us. The ending is incredibly powerful, and whenever you play it again, whether it's you
Yep.
or you are listening, whenever you play it again, you get to the very end, just listen to the music and the very last moments of that game. I'm going to try and do it without saying spoilers, even though it's an old ass game. Even though it's an old game, I don't want to give away spoilers because it's such a powerful moment. You gotta experience. So one character asks another character a question. He gives an answer. And while she's pondering and thinking over it, there's a pause. But it's not just dead air. You can hear the music in the background. They kind of got like a violin going, like kind of building up.
Yep.
And it's almost as like you can feel the wheels in her head turning. And it's this moment of tension. Will she believe him or not? And then she says, okay. Then the music cuts. She says, okay. And then black. Right? And then the music comes up for the credits. And it's set just the way they use the music in that was incredibly powerful. Because it, again, completed the image, completed what the character is thinking, and brought even that little bit of tension in there. Without music, it would just be an awkward pause where it's like, and then, and then it would just be over. But just how they used it was, again, completing that picture, making that moment more powerful. Without it, it would be lacking. That's for sure.
But I think that's another thing, though, too, that needs to be pointed out, is sometimes no music is the answer. Sometimes you don't need a score. Sometimes there needs to be that silence. And I think there's a lot of...
And that's the power of it, right? Like, whether you use it or don't. Like, with no music, that's also can be powerful in the right moments, in the right places.
Well, I know for me, that was a problem. That's the thing as a filmmaker I had to get past. Because there was a lot of my projects where I'm like, I have music from beginning to end. And it's like, sometimes you don't need music. Sometimes you need silence. You need nothing. Because and that makes the music that much more impactful, though. Right? Like, that's what really... It does. Like, and again, to me, when it comes to music and choosing not to put music in there, that's just as much a part of the score as when you have music written in.
Mm-hmm.
Having those rests, having that silence is just as much a part of it. And I think that's something that, like, as filmmakers, music editors, and composers, that's something you need to consider. Is like, maybe this moment doesn't need music. Maybe you just need to have silence. Maybe you just need to have what they're saying be the most important thing.
And that's doing it intentionally, right? Like, and that's the thing, and that's where you're really gonna see the difference between skilled composers and well put together movie scores, that in directors and editors and all that kind of stuff too, right? Because at some point, like, they take away the music, but it's not taken away just because someone's walking down a road or doing nothing. There's a purpose behind it. It's like the saying with writing, right? Like, some writers break the rules, but they don't break the rules without knowing the rules first. They break those rules intentionally to give an effect or have a moment or have something of significance stand out. And even when, doing music with choirs and stuff like that, there are moments where I will pause us, like where we'll have a big moment and then we go silent, nothing. And that moment is more powerful sometimes than the big crescendo leading up to it. That moment of silence, of nothing, before you come back in and fill that void, that can be more powerful than even the highest of the crescendos.
Thinking back to high school choir and, like, some of the places, like, I think there was that one field trip, or it was like it wasn't a field trip, it was like a trip. Like, we went to Regina, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
And we had to sing in a church that had just an amazing reverb to it.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, suddenly, like, the moments where we would, hold a note and then cut, and you'd hear our reverb coming back. We didn't hear that in, like, the choral room, like that silence and that echo. It was almost like a reflection of what we had just done. And, like, I think that translates well over to movies as well. Like, I think that translates that silence, that moment afterwards, that cut, adds to it. Or to me, it's a reflection of what was just not even musically speaking, but like speaking from a story point. That silence gives you a chance to reflect on what you just witnessed, right?
And
Does that make sense at
the
all?
thing. Yeah. No, and that's the thing about movies and music and how it all connects together, because it's all part of the story. Like whether you're performing a piece, you're telling a story at the end of the day. Your music is a story. And these moments have to have certain beats and rhythms and pauses and silence and louds and softs. Like it's all part of a story musically. But then when you combine that with the storytelling of film, they complement each other so well. And that's when you really see the difference between a mediocre score that's just like random noises, or just, it sticks out or doesn't stick out at all, right? But that perfect blending between storytelling in music and storytelling in the film, when those two things come together, you get incredibly powerful experiences as you sit there and watch that film. And I think that's what the perfect score it needs to do. That it needs to combine the storytelling and music along with the story being told in the film itself. And when those things come together, man, magic. It's literal magic. And obviously John Williams is a master at that, right? Like he really, really is. But also again, those Lord of the Rings ones, man, I feel that every single time I listen to that music. Every single time. Amazing.
So those are your answers.
Yeah, I think so. I don't even know. Honestly, I don't even know what I just said for answers, but
Basically, you said anything
answer.
by John Williams and Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings. Oh, I also said like Dark Knight and Superman, Man of Steel.
Yeah, you did.
And some of those Marvel ones too are really great. I really like epic scores. Like those are like my standout ones. Those are the ones that I love the most. What about you, bud? What's your favorite scores?
Honestly, mine would be. I think I've mentioned both of these before, but like Ready Player One and Amazing Spider-Man 2. And I think neither of them get the attention they deserve because, like, regardless of how people feel about their movies, the scores themselves just like they work so well with their movie, but they work so well on their own as well. Like so well on their own. Amazing Spider-Man 2 I listened to before I watched the movie. And I pieced together a story that definitely wasn't the one in the movie, but that's just how they arranged it for the soundtrack. But it's just so good. I even go back and I'll listen to it while I'm writing now. And Ready Player One, just the movie score sounds like a movie score. Like it feels like every movie score ever. And I love that. I think it's so good. I like stuff by Ennio Morricone. I think he's really good. A bunch of spaghetti western stuff.
Oh, yeah, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
The Untouchables is a very divisive topic because a lot of people don't feel like it fits. But like to me it totally fits with the movie. Like it is weird. It does sound weird, but like it works. Just trying to think about what else. A lot of the ones that don't really get like a lot of the things that don't get love but they really should is the Disney movies, like the animated Disney movies. Their songs get a lot of love.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, I was like, I'm pretty sure their songs get some love, man.
Their songs do, but their movie scores don't. And the scores are just as good. But they blend in, and then because it's a musical most of the time, you don't really notice when the score is going on, because it's just there.
Yeah,
and
that's true, yeah.
Reflects some of the melodies and themes of those songs. Mm-hmm. But again, like, then you look at ones that don't have singing, like Atlantis or Treasure Planet. Both of those scores are phenomenal. Mm-hmm. They're great adventure scores. Even if you listen to the music that takes place during, like, in Beauty and the Beast when they're not singing, like, it's still really, 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 really good. Mulan has an amazing score.
It actually does, yeah. That one's really good. That one's really good.
Yeah, like, it just has, like, a great epic feel to it. Like, and I think, as I said, the scores don't really get attention from the Disney films. The songs do. The musical numbers do. The scores just kind of get shoved aside as like, oh, it's part of the music. But, like, we just want to sing our Disney songs. And it's like, hey, but, like, there's so much more. And it's just so... even those get me pumped up, man. Even those just do. Like, it just... Man, I just love movies.
I just love movies.
I just love movies. I just love movies. I love music.
Man. Yeah.
it just makes me, and then I get into this again. I fall into that stupid grinning, like, man, everything's great, everything's wonderful. That's just lovely, isn't it? Isn't it, everybody?
It's just lovely. It's just lovely.
Isn't it?
Life
Everyone,
is good.
everyone
Life is
listening,
good.
don't you guys just agree that it's just so good? It's just so great.
It's just lovely.
So, oh, did we ask them to comment on their favorite directors earlier, or did we just skip over that?
I think you mentioned it.
If I didn't, let us know who your favorite directors are, and also let us know what your favorite movie scores are. Like, what do you guys like to listen to? Do you listen to movie scores? Do you guys... There are people out there who don't like movie scores, and that's okay, too. Why, though? Why? I want to know. Tell us. Tell us why you like them, why you don't like them. I want to know. I'm curious about that, actually.
Yeah, some people just aren't into the whole...
Oh, it could be a genre thing. It could be... Yeah, and... I kind of...
Instrumentalist.
And I accept that. It's not, it's not for everybody. I get it.
No, it's definitely not. But I don't know. I like them. There's a lot of emotion and feeling in that, and like sometimes, honestly, I feel like in music, lyrics ruin things. Sometimes, not all the times, but I feel like sometimes in music, lyrics ruin things. Like you have a great piece of music, then there's some dumbass lyrics over top, and you're like, well,
so there goes that music.
And that's the thing with movie scores that I really like, because it is all about just the emotion of the music and the music doing the storytelling. There's no lyrics, there's nothing like that. It's just the music takes you along with it, and you're going for a ride. And you can interpret it however you want. It's great.
So, what's next, Matt? What's up for you? Are we done? We done?
I think so.
All right, Matt.
I think that's good.
So what's next on your agenda for you, Matt? What are you doing the rest of the week?
Last of Us Part 2 comes out Friday, so I'm gonna play Last of Us Part 2. Actually, I guess when this gets launched, it's already come out. So I've been playing Last of Us Part 2 the last 2 days.
I always forget about that.
I'm sure it's been fantastic. It's been fantastic. But yeah, no. So Last of Us Part 2 is definitely on the list. I'm excited. That's why I played through it one more time just before the new one came out. So I'm just right on par. I'm ready to go, ready to roll. And then, of course, more Vikings. I've kind of gotten to a part in Vikings. It's a very interesting series. And it moves so quick through time. And honestly, the part where I'm at, it's like, there's like one or two actual characters left from like when the show started.
From season 1?
Yeah, like literally they've all been killed. Like they're all dead by the time, and I'm in halfway through season 5 right now. So I'm on episode 11 is the next episode. And there's pretty much only a small handful of characters that are actually left. The main character isn't even there anymore. Like it's all just like, okay, it's such a different show now than it was 4 seasons ago. And usually you can't say that. Usually the status quo in shows doesn't change that much, but this one, it's a mover. It moves. You're like, okay, I'm along for the ride. So now I'm trying to get interested in like some of the other characters, and it's not as easy. They're not as great. So the show's not as good as it started out being, but just at the point that I'm at, it could get better again. Maybe as you get to know these characters and care a bit more about them, but kind of at my point.
Unless they kill them off too.
Yeah. Like, well, they will, man. And people just die unceremoniously. People are just dead in this show. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, one guy got killed by a bee. You're like, Jesus, this like, people just die. Like, it's very much, that's how life was, right? Like, there's no grand ceremonies. There's no grand epic ending for people. Sometimes they just die. And you're like, okay. I get it. That's
the name of the series.
That's just how life is. Yeah. So anyway, no, it's pretty good. After that, I'm gonna watch Last Kingdom. I don't know if I'll get to that this week or if that'll be a next week thing, but I'm gonna start the other Viking show, Last Kingdom. So that's what's up right now. What's next for you, buddy?
It's a great question. Because like, we were watching Avatar: Last Airbender still. Halfway through season 2, and it's just gotten better as always. Like it's just, dude, it's such a good show. such a good show, and I can't recommend it to anybody enough. And I think I've recommended it about 3 weeks in a row now, maybe, but like that'll never get old. We're at a weird point with our Steven Spielberg, John Carpenter marathon, where it's at a point where we are at the movies that both of us haven't seen before. So like we have The Color Purple, Empire of the Sun, and Always for Steven Spielberg. And I've never seen any of those movies, and neither is my roommate. So we're both kind of like, we have them, we're ready to watch them. We're just like, okay, but are we gonna enjoy them? And like, it's Spielberg, we're probably gonna enjoy them. But they're just so different than any other films that we've watched of his so far. Otherwise, yeah, I don't really think I have any other movie viewing planned. I did start watching Back to the Future a little while ago. I didn't finish it, but that's because I got sidetracked doing other things. But like, right now I'm just trying to focus on getting back in the swing of working, I guess, is the big one. And kind of getting back into that rhythm while also balancing all my creative endeavors. And sometimes that doesn't lend itself to movie watching, but I try to watch a movie at least once a week. I would love to watch a movie a day. It's just difficult to sometimes find that 2 hour window.
That's tough, man. That's tough. 2 hours in one day.
Well,
that's tough.
I did the calculations, and if I was to watch one of my movies that I own per day, I would probably be watching movies for at least 4 or 5 years before I finished it.
Yeah.
I have a problem. I have a problem.
I have a problem.
Matt, and I have to move all those, okay?
You poor bugger.
I know, but I did it to myself, and I regret nothing. But no, it's like I don't know. I also just kind of like to go off of how I'm feeling on the day. There are some times where it's just like, you know what? I was planning to watch Ninja Turtles, but today I'm going to watch Taxi Driver instead. I don't know. Like, it just depends on the mood. And I just kind of like, I like that feel. Too, right?
I get that, man. Yeah.
And there are some days off where I just decide to watch 3 or 4 movies. It honestly depends. It depends on what's going on.
Right.
What you doing, Matt?
Nothing. Anyway.
But yeah, I don't really have.
No, I get that, man. I get that.
Yeah, just that, and working on more script writing and figuring out life, because life is crazy and weird, and changes are coming. I don't know which way and how.
That's why I just don't talk about life. Just talk about movies.
Hey, man.
That's way easier. That's way easier.
I think the changes that are coming for me are positive. I think we'll see how things go. All right, everyone. So that's another episode of A Feast of Films. I feel stuffed. I think Matt feels stuffed, but also just I feel great. I think again, this is just a nice, happy conversation. I feel positive. I feel warm and fuzzy. Hopefully, all you do as well. You know where to find our information on where to find other things that we are working on down below.
Mm-hmm. Don't come to my channel though. There's nothing there. Don't come.
Come later. Go there and patiently. No, go there and just wait. Just sit there and wait. Something will happen. I don't actually listen to me on that because nothing's gonna happen until Matt said like a few months. So, but yeah, you know where to find our stuff. Yeah. So, I think that's it for today. I'm Ethan R. Hill.
I'm Matt Black.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
So long.
Toodaloo.
Ha, you don't have a song for the end of this episode, do you?
Huh?
You don't have a song for the end of this episode, do you?
I could.
But you don't?
Bum 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 ba ba bum. Ba ba bum ba ba bum ba ba bum 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 ba ba bum ba ba bum ba ba bum ba ba bum. Nailed it!